Winter is coming and winter has arrived at AEW in a tremendous show tonight with Bryan Danielson going up against Hangman Adam Page for the AEW title that ended in a 60-minute draw. We're going to talk all about that. Plus on NXT 2.0, Tommaso Ciampa assaults Bron Breakker after his amazing match against Roderick Strong. We're going to be talking about all that and more in tonight's episode of The Debrief. Here we go.
Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out!
What's up, everyone? It is The Debrief. You know what's going on. I'm Jose G. Next to me, the top Chico himself, Rico el Glorioso. And tonight we're going to talk about an amazing AEW Dynamite Winter is Coming special. Great show, great matchups, nothing that I can really nitpick about it. But we're going to jump into all of that. As always, guys, like, share, and subscribe to the Sportskeeda Wrestling YouTube channel. We are on our way to 25,000. Help us get there right now by like, sharing, and subscribing and smashing that notification bell so you never miss whenever we drop brand new content. If you want to listen to us in the podcast form, you can go ahead and subscribe to us and download the podcast on the Apple, iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your major podcasts. Rico, what's up, broski? How you been?
Oh, man, it's hard to believe that Christmas is only 10 days away. And it is almost 2022. This year has gone by so quickly, but of course that's led to some really great wrestling, and we got to see a lot of that tonight. So I'm really excited to get into this Winter is Coming special, and then there's an NXT show too. But that's
and then there's that other show that happened on Tuesday.
That's fine.
Guys, go ahead and get in the comments. Sound off on the comments on AEW Dynamite Winter is Coming. What did you think of all the matchups? Did it live up to the hype? Let's jump into it, Rico. Let's talk about the opening match, which was the title match, which caught me off by surprise, which in the end, it made sense because a match of this caliber, you save for a main event to close out the show. But they went 60 minutes, tit for tat. And if I'm being completely objective, the way I'm looking at this match, and I may get a little flack for this, Rico.
No.
But Daniel Bryan dominated that entire match. Daniel Bryan, even 45 minutes in, was still doing jumping jacks in this match. I mean, that just goes to tell you how amazing Bryan Danielson is. Adam Page is great too, don't get me wrong. But the real winner of this match was Bryan Danielson.
It's because he has so much fun being a heel. Like, he's played babyface for such a long part of his career, and we got to see it again a little bit in WWE when he had the run with the organic title. Like, he enjoys being able to play heel, and especially in the moveset and adding more heel maneuvers to his moveset, and we got to see the perfect example of it tonight. Like, he was very brutal. They told a really good story, like picking apart body parts, like, Bryan Danielson going after Hangman's arm, Hangman trying to go after Danielson's leg. They did a really good job telling that story, especially when it came to the part where they're both injured. So every time Bryan tries to do a kick, he does it on his other foot, on the right foot, and it's not damaging Hangman. Or Hangman tries to hit a lariat, but he doesn't have enough oomph behind it, and Bryan is just shaking it off. They told a really great story, and you're right. The MVP of this match was Bryan Danielson because he got to carry it as a smaller guy, as a faster guy, as the striker out of those two, and really giving a really strong heel performance with his moveset. And they did a great job back and forth. They kept us in it for 60 minutes. That just tells you how good of a show, how good of a match these two guys put on when they can hold us there for 60 minutes and still wonder, like, no, it's not going to be another draw, is it? Wow, can Bryan Danielson pull this off? How's Hangman going to come back? Like, is he really going to be able to, especially after he got busted open, is he going to be able to come back? Is he going to be able to get out of the lapel lock, out of all the other submission moves? For 60 minutes, they held us there for the draw. just like you said,
I think when
hold the strong message for Bryan Danielson. He's not an easy out for anybody. So he'll either take you to the limit or he's going to take you out because he still hasn't lost yet.
You know, as a wrestling fan, when you're watching these, you know, when you're watching wrestling, period, you know, you're so accustomed to watching, you know, 10 to 20-minute matches, right? You know, it's a short little story. Here you go. Kind of continue what's going to go on the next week, you know. But this has been building up for a minute while right now. And when you get a 60-minute matchup, a 35 to 45-minute matchup, that usually raises your eyebrow. It was like, okay, we're past 8:30. We're getting something special here. And this is what I texted you guys.
Yeah.
This is where I texted you guys. I'm like, well, if they're going to go half an hour, they're going to go 45 minutes to an hour. You have mentioned like an hour. And I was like, yeah, you're probably right. And it's always a treat. And thank God we don't get these all the time because, like, for example, like when we get like the gauntlet matches in WWE that go for an hour, that's pretty cool because it keeps going, and you can rally behind someone.
Mm-hmm.
But this was just something different where both guys were just wailing heavy shots at each other. They were telling a really great story by attacking each other's limbs to try to take away each other's finishing move sets, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that was just a great side of the story too. But when you get something like this that's telling you such an amazing story for 60 minutes, that kept you engaged. And I think that was smart because at the beginning of the show, I'm like, why the hell would you put a huge title match at the beginning of the show? Now you know why. 60 minutes, even though they went over just a little bit. However, I bet you in those 60 minutes, those people that started watching the show, they stayed engaged with the show.
Oh, absolutely. You got to see how it ends at this point. If you've been watching this saying, oh, nope, it's still the same match. We started with the same match, and guess what? We are still here. But that just goes to show they've done that twice already with us. The full 60-minute draw, and they have yet to have an Iron Man match. So just imagine what kind of spots are going to happen if they have an Iron Man match with two of the great talents that they have over there in AEW. And just like us, man, we have plenty of people in the comments that have nothing but good things to say about this match.
A lot of people
all on the same page.
Everybody's praising this match. I think this was a really good treat for the fans. But I think that they're going to save a title change either for another pay-per-view or another big TV event. But this was a really good treat. It made both of you guys look strong because they both went 60 minutes. Mm-hmm. Page just ran out of time. You know, he hit his lariat and just couldn't capitalize because he ran out of time. So that just kind of leaves the book open for a rematch, maybe at Revolution. Maybe we get that here in Orlando. I don't know. We'll see.
You get that sense that they have to run it back at that point. And again, we still have all these dream matches that we still got because, of course, you know, what we're going to talk about later on with the feud that's still ongoing with the supposedly the next number one contender for the AEW World Championship. We shall see. But Jose, Friday is going to be the Teddy Long special. It's multi-man tag match galore.
My God.
And the first one.
Every time I look at these graphics from AEW on Rampage, it looks like I'm watching Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, and it's like the 5-on-5 when you get to choose 5 characters. Yeah, this whole time, and like they're all lined up next to each other. Because we're getting 2 multi-man tag matches. The first one being the Super Click plus Bobby Fish going up against the Best Friends plus Azúcar, Rocky Romero. That's going to be a great match overall. They had a nice little video promo. You know, Adam Cole is living his best life right now in AEW. So you feel that he's made the right decision in making the jump over.
And
he's having so much fun.
A surprise next week. He's got a surprise next week.
I wonder if it could be anybody. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. We won't jump to any conclusions here. But once we had an entire something in a certain direction. But of course, after we had a 1 hour match, how are they going to squeeze the rest of these matches in 1 hour? Well, it helps if you have a nice little squash match because Wardlow just straight demolished poor little Matt Sydal. That was just not even.
I mean, even Sean Spears had to come out and be like, "Okay, just go ahead and pin him. You don't need to like. We get paid by the match. We don't get paid by the hour, you know." So like that was enough. Like you're gonna pin him, but then he starts attacking him with the chair. That was hilarious. But looks like we're getting also more little seeds planted here for some type of turn with Wardlow, as you know, Sean Spears got a phone call after he got that was a phone call from MJF. He answered it, and then he hung up. He's like, "Oh, by the way, we got to go because we got to go get champagne for the celebration tonight." And Wardlow didn't take too kindly to that. Like he was just like, "The hell!" Like I just demolished this guy, and now I got to go get champagne for this guy. So
he's like, "Oh yeah, what you're wearing is fine. Let's go. I'll drive."
You heard it. You heard it with the crowd reaction too, which is very interesting. So I'm almost sensing that we're starting to get little shades of a babyface turn for Wardlow as the fans start getting behind Wardlow. So very interesting.
Oh yeah, that's definitely happening. It might be sooner than we thought. Like we talked about last week with the Dynamite Diamond Battle Royal. Wouldn't be surprised if Wardlow was the one to stop the streak of MJF. But it feels like that's so far away now. If you're looking at in a year, I think that'd be a really nice slow burn if they do it the right way. I just don't know if they're going to be able to hold off on it because Wardlow is such an amazing talent. It's got to hurt Tony just a little bit by knowing you can't pull this trigger just yet because you have all these other pieces that are happening. We just had Bryan Danielson and Hangman on page. We have MJF and CM Like you have all these already big pieces. You want to make sure you have enough space for Wardlow to take up a big spot in one of those divisions. So it's like you got to hold off on it, but he's money, man. Like we just saw what he did.
There's a good story there.
He just made it so easy. It's a great story to tell, but you got all these things happening first, so we're gonna have to wait just a little bit. But yes, Ricky, he is so going to be turning on MJF. Yeah, probably sooner rather than later, not the whole year, but it's going to be fun when it does happen. But yeah, we did have
fans are ready for it. I think the fans are ready for it, dude. I think you're starting to see that. I think tonight in Dallas was a good reaction for Wardlow, and I think we're going to get it. I think we're going to get it maybe by Revolution, hopefully.
Yeah, more like it feels that way. It feels like they're going to build it up to try to make like their own big four in AEW. So this would be a great way of doing it by having great storylines, especially this one that kind of writes itself. It's just when they want to go ahead and pull that trigger. We did have a nice video vignette from Malachi Black. Molly Warwick was talking about here.
Who's under the hood, Rico? Who's under the hood getting spat in the face? Who do you think this is? Who is this character? Is it that's supposed to be a disciple of the House of Black? Is it one Buddith Matthews?
It could be Buddy Matthews. I think it wasn't announced earlier. Brody King just got signed to AEW. Like there's some potential big name that could be part of the House of Black. Man, that's gonna be again another stable, Jose. We're gonna build the House of Black to compete with everybody else, with all the other stables here in AEW.
See, but the House of Black matters. It matters, You know what? The House of Black matters. It does, just because. Where's that other faction with all the B-listed AEW superstars that are only seen on AEW Elevation? Exactly. Exactly. You can't even remember their names either. So what's the point of having all these factions if we can't remember their names? House of Black, you can remember that name. And also, quick side note, yes, Steve Chambers adding here Titan Adam Shearer. He's over the weekend and actually just a few days ago, there's been some tease online from EC3 and Adam Shearer about the Control Your Narrative series, and they're starting to form a faction. They've appeared over the weekend at the ROH Ring of Honor Final Battle, the final pay-per-view before coming back in April. If they even come back, a lot of people are speculating that they may not come back, that this was like the final goodbye show. But the narrative faction took over the Ring of Honor show at the very end of the show. We had Weston Blake there, EC3, Adam Shearer, and today in the post, Karrion Kross was featured in a picture for the Control Your Narrative. So now we got Killer Kross, getting together with his faction. I think this is something great. Possibly we may get a narrative faction appearance in AEW, maybe at Revolution. A lot of people were speculating tonight that might have happened, but I don't think not quite yet. I think we can build up to that. Yeah, I think we can do that for a pay-per-view.
Like we already have some key storylines going on, because that'd have been amazing. Imagine if these guys showed up, if EC3, if Adam Scher, if Killer Cross all showed up when the lights went out at the end of the show. I was like, oh, who could it be? Are they really gonna do it? And my heart skipped a little bit when I started seeing people turn on their lights. I'm like, no, they didn't just do this right now. But no, it was just people trying to turn on their cell phone lights, and it wasn't the Fireflies or anything. It was
Sting. I know I was a little disappointed there too, because
I was just hoping for somebody.
I'm like, Winter's Coming's a big show. I'm like, are we gonna get a debut? Are we gonna get something? And I'm like, oh, here we go. 2 minutes to go to the end, and it's Sting and Darby Allin. So a little anticlimactic for me at the ending. I thought this was a good matchup though for the Dynamite ring final. MJF and Dante Martin absolutely killed it, dude. These Dante, guys, dude, Dante was just doing some crazy. He did a rolling senton into a 450, and then just knocked MJF with his knee just straight onto his nose. It was just nasty. And then he did another spot where he jumped onto the top rope and did the shooting star press.
He stopped on the top, like him, and I want to see him and Ray Phoenix do something like an obstacle course on the ropes or something, because these guys sense of balance and just sense of momentum is outstanding. The way he can bounce off the ropes, land straight on the rope, pause, perfect balance, and then hit his shooting star press onto MJF, even though he looked like he almost kneed him right in the face. But MJF, there was not much for him to do to try to catch him. But Dante just, man, it must be nice to be that young and that freaking athletically talented, because imagine if we wouldn't have seen this if Darius didn't get injured. Like, it was because of his brother's injury that he stepped out. He's the Jey Uso right now of AEW, where he's normally just seen as the younger of a tag team. But when you put him on a spot and let him showcase what he can do, he can deliver. And he freaking delivered here. But we knew what was going to happen. It was written in stone when he betrayed Team Taz in the Battle Royal by eliminating Ricky Starks. Ricky Starks came out in the, towards the end of the match, distracted Dante when he had the chance to win with the nosedive. And this, of course, set up MJF to get the win with the Salt of the Earth, making him the first ever, because, he's only been the only person to win it, the first ever three-peat Dynamite Diamond winner. So for another year, he's going to be
one more, and he's his own dynasty, right?
The Diamond Dynasty.
He needs 4 to become a dynasty, right? So if he wins next year, then he'll be the Diamond Dynasty.
Yeah, that's why he's not going to win it next year.
Overall, Rico, what'd you think of Winter's Coming this year? I thought it was a pretty good show. I thought it was solid. It was entertaining. That first hour, man, that matchup was absolutely insane. That Hikaru Shida Serena Deeb match, also really good. MJF closing it out with Dante Martin, I thought was great. I was a little disappointed with the blackout segment, with Sting being the guy there, and then of course CM Punk coming out to get the save and setting up that trios match for next week. The crowd popped for Punk, but unfortunately, I'm with you guys. I thought it was going to be some type of a debut. I see some of you guys putting in the comments that I thought that Bray Wyatt was going to come out. So with that being said, I'm going to give it a solid 9. I think this was a good show, especially because we didn't get a whole lot of matches. Usually we get a Dynamite, we get a jam-packed matches. I like the fact that we don't have a whole lot of matches, and we had just one really long one that told an amazing story, and you can actually just sink your teeth in it, sit back and relax, and actually get invested into the story that they were telling. And then to end the show with MJF and Dante Martin, that was just a nice little treat too.
Man, if only we would have.
I rarely give 9s. But it was a good show.
A 9 without Miro, that's saying something for you there.
A 9 without Miro.
And I think I would have given it a 9 if we did have something special. If we did have just, whether it had been the Briscoes, like you guys are bringing up here in the chat, if it would have been Wyndham Rotunda, if the Cult of Wyndham would have started, then I gladly would have given it a 9.5. But I'm just going to give it an 8.5 just because we didn't get that extra something special. I mean, everything went exactly like we expected. It was predictable. Hangman won, even though it was, well, didn't win. He didn't lose the title, which we knew he wasn't going to lose. Hikaru beating Serena, getting her, the comeuppance. So getting a revenge on Serena. MJF maintaining the rank because, of course, Team Taz was going to, hold down Dante Martin. So overall, I enjoyed the matches. They were just really predictable. But the opening match was solid, and all the setup that they're doing for Friday, because the other match that we didn't mention, so they set up the 8-man tag match, Super Click versus Best Friends. We're also going to get a 10-man tag match on Rampage. Eddie Kingston, Lucha Brothers, and
are you sure Teddy Long's not working for AEW?
Right, I think he's booking the Rampages at least. If he's not working Dynamite, he's working Rampage. It's going to be.
We only got an hour. Who can we get on this on this 1 hour show? Everybody's going to be on the show.
Everybody's here. So it's, Team Latinos. So it's Eddie Kingston, Lucha Brothers, and Proud and Powerful going up against 2.0, Danny Garcia, and any two guys that they can find, which ought to be great. And then next week, we are going to be getting poor little Griff Garrison is going to be fed to Malachi Black because he wants revenge for Julia Hart getting the mist, and he is going to get wrecked. Poor Griff Garrison.
Black is going to kill you. Yeah, I agree with that.
And the trios match too. So we're gonna have CM Punk, Darby Allin, and Sting going up against FTR and MJF. That'll be next week.
Ricky Castillo watching us on Facebook. When the announcer said the crowd had their cell phone lights on,
man,
I thought it was going to be one
got me.
And a lot of other people did too, man. And I think that was that little disappointing part. You know what? I retract my 9. I'm bringing it back to an 8.5.
There you go.
I think you're right. Guys, sound off in the comments. Let us know what you thought of tonight's show. We're about to jump into NXT 2.0, so go ahead and sound off on that as well. Go ahead and give us a subscribe on our YouTube channel by liking, sharing, and subscribing and smashing that notification bell so you never miss whenever we drop brand new content. We got some interviews dropping tomorrow, some great content dropping this weekend, and some year-end stuff coming in the next few weeks. So make sure you drop in and go ahead and like, share, and subscribe so that way you never miss whenever we drop that brand new stuff, that new stuff. All right? That new. All right, man, let's jump into NXT 2.0, fresh off the heels of Johnny Gargano's last appearance last week. His farewell, which Grayson Waller gave him the final goodbye, sending him out the door with a massive attack with the chair shot and then the power bomb. And yesterday on Tuesday, Grayson Waller got some pretty good heat from the crowd. He got the shut the F up chant, and it looks like he got the a-hole chant, he got the shut the F up chant, and then it looks like I think Joey, the guy that does the directing and at the performance, Joey, what's his name?
Oh yeah. Yeah, but I know, yeah.
You know who you're talking, the guy
that gets the crowd into it, yeah.
I think he told the crowd, don't say that because we're on USA Network. So they changed the chant from shut the F up to shut the hell up. So
and then you suck a lot of times just to keep it that PG.
Great crowd interaction, great heel reaction. Grayson Waller, I absolutely love him now. Like, I think this is the best thing he could have done for himself is embracing this heel persona. I don't need anyone. I don't need your support. This is the business about me and about getting ahead. I like the new attitude that he's bringing. And I understand that can rub a lot of people the wrong way. But, hey, this is sports entertainment, right? This is wrestling. You're not in the business to make friends. This is a business to hurt people, and you're in the business to make money and win matches. And that's what Grayson Waller's mentality is right now. I don't know if you agree with me, and it's okay if you don't. But that's what I am liking right now about Grayson Waller.
I like that he's embracing, the whole heel side, and then of course the new clothes that he was wearing makes him come off even douchier. Like I'm trying to remember who he's trying to. He reminds me of somebody from a movie that just always was like was an a-hole, and he's like living into, which is great. He's giving himself a character as opposed to being all right, Australian boxer guy that likes to add in some basketball moves into his arsenal. So like he's defining himself as a heel character, which is fine. And then the interactions that he had backstage, like Stephen Chambers was saying, like people just yelling at him, and then Io just goes off on him in Japanese, and he's just like sits down and he just takes it all in.
Even that Stratton chick, Tiffany Stratton, she was like, my daddy said that what you did was that you're a bad guy or something like that.
Bad person, yeah. And I was, okay. I thought she was going to be a heel. I thought she was giving props for that. So who knows what her character is going to be. But it's good to see him embracing this. So it gives him a new level to his character. So it's good. It's better than being bland babyface, which is basically what he was before. Now he can live it up as social media, trying to just building the clout on social media, because that's what he says 2.0 is about. It's about who you know and your numbers and your views, as opposed to working in in gymnasiums and armies for a hot dog and a handshake. So he's living into this character where it's all about trying to amass more views and get more followers by doing it in a heelish way. So good for him for finding something to hold on to, because that at least gives you something about character. Much more that can be said about like a Duke Hudson, who his gimmick is now the bald guy. Because after his match in the No Holds Barred match, he's going to have to find something now that he doesn't have his hair.
Yeah, for real. Although he does look pretty damn good bald, I'm not going to lie. I mean, but I am also biased. But jumping really quick right back to Grayson Waller, dude, what he's been doing now with that heel character, I think is really good. And I think that the people backstage, the people that are producing the show, feel the same way, because, dude, he's been getting a ton of TV time. And what's the most valuable thing in pro wrestling and in sports entertainment? TV time. That's the most valuable asset. And you know what?
Made sure you heard it too.
He got a promo. Dude, he got a promo. He got backstage segments. Not one, not two. He got 3 backstage segments along with his promo. He has more TV time than every single superstar. Than the NXT champion, who showed up at the very end of the show to attack Bron Breakker. So this show was all about Grayson Waller. This show was all about putting Grayson Waller in front of your eyes. This is going to be the bad guy you're going to hate.
It feels like
I am loving it.
And I know we had talked about it before. It feels like it's going to be, Bron Breakker that takes it off of Ciampa. And more likely, we're talking about possibly like a Joe Gacy taking it off of him. At this point, I think it's going to be Grayson Waller. I think he is going to be the second person after Tommaso Ciampa to hold the NXT championship. If they're going to get this up, I think he's going to be the one to dethrone Braun, because you guys brought up here in the chat. Yeah, Stephen Chambers. Yeah,
he might even be the one. He might even be the one to beat Ciampa. He might be the one to skip the line over Bron Breakker.
That's how you get heat. Get more heat on him that way. Yeah,
exactly.
More heat if he throws Ciampa.
See, because now we're living in the more main roster version of NXT than the Triple H version of NXT. So you got to think with that main roster mentality. How do you get heat? How do you build up a big ass heel? Put a title on him when he doesn't deserve it, right? So that's what you're going to do with Grayson Waller. He might as well jump over Bron Breakker and beat Tommaso Ciampa to become NXT champion, because you know why? People are going to hate that he is champion, and he's going to bring more eyes. He's going to have a lot more chatter online. He's going to get exactly what he wanted. And you know what? Bron Breakker, as great and as amazing as he is, what do we always say about baby faces? Baby faces are way better in the chase than champions. Keep Bron Breakker in the chase for a little bit. Then, when it's time, then you have the pure NXT 2.0 battle versus NXT 2.0 battle. Then you put it on Bron Breakker. That's just me. This is what I'm just kind of visualizing with Grayson Waller. But with the amount of TV time he had on Tuesday, I mean, I don't know how you can deny this guy.
Yeah, and they're acting with everybody too. So like the backstage segment when he got kicked out of the locker room from Bron Breakker, which the two things got more heat on Grayson, but also established Bron Breakker as essentially a locker room leader of this NXT 2.0, which is good for him. Mm-hmm. And we still have the feud with LA Knight, Because as great as LA Knight is, man, he's so fantastic on the mic. The rub that he's given to Grayson Waller is going to be even that much more because they had the segment where just turnabout is fair play from last week where LA Knight drove away in his car with the fine girl. This time it was Grayson Waller that did it. He beat down LA Knight and took his car and his girl. So he went from being just a bland babyface 3 weeks ago to being the one to get the most TV time. I would have not expected that, but they see something big in him and he's running with it. He's taking this opportunity. He's grabbing that ball and he's running. So props to you, Grayson Waller. Let's see if you can hold on to it and really keep building off of this. And you might just see yourself being the next NXT World Champion. I did not imagine that happening this quickly, but it could happen.
You wouldn't think about having those words come out of your mouth, but here we are talking about Grayson Waller possibly being the guy to take off the championship off of Tommaso Ciampa. He could very well be that guy. There was a lot of other things that happened besides Grayson Waller. Even though this was a Grayson Waller episode, Cameron Grimes, just like you mentioned, Cameron Grimes, Duke Hudson went at it. This was the rubber match between them. It was a street fight. Duke Hudson revealed to be bald. Hopefully, this storyline is done and squashed. Where does Cameron Grimes go from here, bro?
To the moon, Jose. Which I guess that
I walked into that one, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. But I think that means NXT North American Championship. I'm guessing. I mean, I know Carmelo Hayes is
about right.
Eyeing Roderick Strong, but they're not doing that. I mean, until they decide to unite those titles, I just don't want him to have another match with Duke Hudson. Like, this is it. Like, please let this be it. We've had this feud for over a few months now. I'm done with it. Let them both do something different.
I would actually put him up there in the main title too. I think this guy Cameron deserves to be in the main title picture. I feel like even though he's a real solid mid-carder, I think people don't give him enough credit for what he can actually do. He guy is hella entertaining. He can be definitely in the main event picture at some point. I don't know. I don't know where you go with Cameron Grimes here. Sound off in the comments where you guys want to see Cameron Grimes head. Do you want to see him face Tommaso Ciampa or be in the NXT title picture or in the North American title picture? So just go ahead and sound off in the comments and let us know what your thoughts are on that. But while we're on the subject here, we had a little backstage vignette with Lash Legend with her talk show interviewing Jack and Time, asking them what's going on with the Grizzled Young Veterans because, they got that beef and they just busted this promo in Japanese that, took everybody by surprise. But it looks like then we had that matchup later on in the night. And I think Jack and Time got the win on that, didn't they?
They did. There was a little bit of distraction from Imperium, who happened to continue to be paying attention. Was that this match or early? At this point, I couldn't remember because I kind of tuned out the Jack and Time and Grizzled Young Veterans match because it's what they've been doing with Grizzled Young Veterans. It's just been
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. It's very sad.
And even with the Lash Legend, I'm like, okay. Kushida and Ikemen, you are my heroes. I was like, oh, okay, I'm done. All right. As soon as she's saying it that way, I'm like, all right, let's go on to the next segment here. It was nice to have them do part of that segment in Japanese because it's always so better when you speak in your natural language. But then we had that intense, and then it's Jacket Time, and it's like the really anime inspired intro song.
Ikemen, Jacket Time. Listen, all right.
Come on, GYV should be champions by now, but they're not.
I cringe. I
Creed
cringe
Brothers.
every time
Okay.
I see both of these guys because you have one tremendous talent in Kushida, bro. He is a former IWGP junior heavyweight champion, pretty much the cruiserweight version of New Japan, right? The super juniors, right?
Yeah.
This guy is one of the former cruiserweight champion, and this guy is in this comedy gimmick with Ikemen Jiro. I would expect it from Ikemen because Ikemen is that character. I don't expect this from Kushida, and it's sad because there's really nothing else Kushida else can do right now.
Yeah. It feels like we went full circle again with the tag team division because we still haven't seen MSK. They did have that backstage segment part 2 with the shaman himself, Riddle, which it's cute, but like, all right, we need to get back into pulling scooters out of the little fanny pack that they happen to bring with them. It's just a bag of holding for any of my D&D players over there. But like, it's let's get back into when the tag team division was great, and they have plenty of talent. Even though what they're doing with Jack and Tam and GYV, there's Imperium, there's the Creed brothers. Like, you have the talent, just making more of an emphasis as opposed to really getting everybody else's point across. So like right now it feels like the Creed brothers are there to really just support Roddy and Diamond Mine, then really support themselves. And GYV, they're whatever that new gimmick is of them being like con artists basically. And then Jack and Time, they're talented, but it just feels like they're there to be a bit cartoonish and to put over everybody else. So like I want to see back to where it was, the tag team division was so dominant, which now we have a great tag team champions in Imperium. Let's see more matches than them just, being on top of that little pedestal, the podium area, the higher area, and just staring down at people. Let's have more matches. Let's have more tag team matches other than, just getting Jack and Time either beat up or beating up Grizzly Young Veterans. So I don't know. That's the state of the current tag team division. At least the women's division is heating up. We did have Ivy now just decimate poor little Amari Miller after
you know what? Amari Miller kind of impressed me. She had some moves against Ivy Nile.
Oh, she's still she's very athletic.
She got murdered.
She got massacred afterwards.
She got massacred, right? Yeah, but you know what? I give her an A for effort. She did. She did a pretty for an aspiring NXT superstar. Amari Miller did a pretty darn good job. But you know who did not do a darn good job?
Who's that?
Guru Raj, because Harlan just absolutely destroyed him in his in-ring debut, and then proceeded while he was walking backstage, while all the WWE officials were trying to get the whole thing under control. Brian Kendrick, a face that we haven't seen in a long ass time, suddenly appears. Now he's Coach Kendrick. Okay, looks like he survived the 2 rounds of the WWE releases, and dude, he gets thrown down the stairwell by Harlan. Crazy spot. Looks like they got some big aspirations for the Harlan character being portrayed by one Parker Boudreaux, making his NXT debut. Congratulations, buddy. You made it into the big time.
Joe Gacy's face, though, behind him. Like, he's
his little smirk.
Man. Yeah.
He's the new Bray Wyatt.
Sinister smile smirk behind Harlan was perfect. It's like Paul Heyman-esque, where he's just there.
This whole situation with Gacy and Harlan, this is so reminiscent of the Wyatt family. The whole act of Joe Gacy kind of bringing that message to the masses of wokeness and equality and acceptance, kind of like what Wyatt was doing with his whole gimmick in his own way. And then he has a big man behind him with Harlan. Within Wyatt, he had Luke Harper, rest in peace, and Eric Rowan. So very similar. I'm digging the similarities in the character. And Joe Gacy absolutely kills it. I love what he's doing.
Yeah, he's really fallen into that character. He's embraced it of being, Mr. Politically correct, Mr. All-inclusive, Mr. Mr. Woke, essentially. He's Mr. Woke of NXT 2.0. So,
man, is that going to be the next title, the Woke title?
They might as well change the Cruiserweight title to the Woke title because they ain't doing anything else with it. We'll talk about Ryder Shrine a little bit, but so tell me, is Tony D'Angelo, is he a face or is he a heel or is he just a tweener? Because
he's a tweener, bro. He's a straight up tweener. He will lean wherever he feels where it's more and more necessary. If he needs to be a little bit baby one day, then he'll be a little bit more baby one day. If he needs to be more heelish one day, he'll be a little bit more heelish one day.
I like how he was able to flow back and forth between this because, of course, he's going up against Andre Chase because Andre was all about trying to give his game plan to Team 2.0, which they didn't need because they wound up winning War Games anyway. So they wound up having their match. And then right afterwards, he switches flips the script, and he's the heel because he calls out Pete Dunne, who Pete Dunne comes out, and apparently he likes the taste of broken plastic because he smashed the little container that held his mouth guard, and he was picking parts of it, but you saw when he put it in his mouth, there was a piece that just shot out right afterwards. So I'm pretty sure he bit into something, and he's just trying to play it cool. But it looks like Tony D'Angelo just went from being babyface to being heel. It just depends on the opponent, I guess. But he just like that, which was very fluid. So props to him to just being able to live in that moment and being able to turn whichever way he needs to, depending on who he's going against.
Yeah. I think he's a pretty good chameleon, and I think he could do well. But I am looking forward to this matchup against Pete Dunne somewhere down the line, maybe next week, maybe in the next few weeks. That matchup should be pretty good. Rock Jordan T5 watching us on YouTube. Put Von Wagner with Joe Gacy. Yes, I think Von Wagner can definitely benefit from being in the faction with Joe Gacy or with somebody for that fact, because this guy cannot cut a promo. It's not convincing. The crowd does not like him. We'll see what happens with one Von Wagner. We had Boa going up against Idris Inoue, where Boa just destroyed him via pinfall. And then we had several spots and segments from NXT's most dangerous area, the NXT parking lot. We had a brawl breakout. We had a couple of stuff happen. We had a brawl breakout between Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. They're just throwing shit to each other in the middle of there. Then LA Knight attacked Grayson Waller, right? That happened. So quite a thing.
You gotta stay out of the parking lot, man. Gotta stay out of the parking lot.
You gotta stay, Dale. You gotta stay out of that parking lot.
Oh man, Luis Vargas and YouTube.
Wow.
Von Wagner is just Jack Swagger 2.0. He is not that far off.
I am neither going to agree or disagree with that statement. I am just going to put that is a very good assessment, Luis. I chuckled a little bit in there.
Yeah, and they did, Bot Walker also talking about it. Yeah, there was a segment because it was like Zion Quinn, and then Robert Stone came in, and then Von Wagner came in, and then there was like a little like moment of connection between Robert Stone. Is Von Wagner going to be the newest member of the Robert Stone brand? I mean, we'll see, because so far it's not a good track record because we've already had
no respect for Robert Stone, man. No respect for Robert Stone. Come on,
got called up and she hasn't done anything on SmackDown. Then we
just
had
backstage
Frankie Monet, and then she's gone. So it's not looking good for the Robert Stone brand because we haven't seen Jessica Maya ever since Frankie left. So we'll see. We'll see if anything happens to come to fruition from Robert Stone and Von Wagner. We'll see there. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this match. Now we're going to have Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai having a match in the way it all began. So she came out to support Dakota Kai in the street fight. Now they're going to have a street fight. Mi amor, mi amiga, mi enemiga. So, all right, Raquel, I see you getting all the emotions out here. So it's going to be a very emotional, it should be an intense match. So it should be
telenovela version of Raquel Gonzalez.
Yeah. But I love when she speaks in Spanish. So
I'm a fan of her just saying stuff in Spanish and having NXT just do close up on her eyes. That's all I want to see from now on. From Raquel Gonzalez.
That's a great way of doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's move on over here to the main event, closing out the show. Bron Breakker, Roderick Strong. Good matchup, physical matchup. You would expect this out of the cardio machine of NXT, Roderick Strong. Bron Breakker put on a great performance, gets a solid win against a champion. Does he face Roderick Strong for that cruiserweight title and carry it over to face Tommaso Ciampa, or is this just a one and done for now?
It's a one and done for now. And I just wish they would have had better camera directions. Like NXT is usually really good with their camera work. This is the one time where it didn't, because we hear Vic Joseph going crazy, and then already all of a sudden, like split second before he hits it, Tommaso Ciampa just hits Bron Breakker with that DDT. So we
did it on purpose, dude. They do that on purpose though, because it's like the cameraman, they like zoom in as close as you can, so that way you can't see anything that's happening behind them, but that's outside the frame. And then just at the very last moment, very last second, they zoom out and cut to black.
I just want to see if like a horror movie stuff, like we've seen with Keith Lee and Adam Cole, where he just shows up right behind them and it winds up hitting the Widow's Bell. Like I wanted to see that, not just it kind of like chaotic, like okay, Tommaso Ciampa. Okay, I see what happened now. Tommaso Ciampa snuck in and wound up hitting Bron Breakker, as opposed to just happening in the moment. I like to, all right, cool. Like to see if he it's gonna happen. It's happening, and there it is. All right, good job, Tommaso. That's what I like to see.
Love this comment here. Tony D'Angelo to me is heel face. Oh, sorry, I mean face heel.
Yeah,
I think the face. I think he is face heel. I think he's heel face. I don't know.
Sure. He's one or the other.
All right, guys. Well, that does it for the show. Sound off in the comments. Let us know what your rating for NXT 2.0 is this week. Again, little week for me. Especially when it came to tonight's show with Winters coming. It's very hard to really compare the two. I'm going to give it about a 7.5, just because it was entertaining. We did have some interesting matches, but I think the entire thing about this past Tuesday was Grayson Waller establishing Grayson as the top heel of NXT. And I think they did a great job with that. So 7.5.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to have to agree with Steven and Christopher Ryan Cooper here, man. I'm going to have to give it a 7 just because it could have been a 7.5 if Von Wagner was entertaining on his own on the promo and actually said something meaningful, which he didn't. He's like, all right, I'm just ready to break somebody down. The next person who is, that steps up to me. Cool. That's a generic, WWE 2K17 promo. Like that's one of the options you would select is exactly what he would say word for word. So that kind of took me out of it. I did like the surprise of Cora Jade getting a win over Dakota Kai. So she continues to get under the skin of Mandy Rose, who was there on commentary. So we're going to get Cora Jade versus Mandy Rose, I'm pretty sure, sooner rather than later for that NXT Women's Championship. So I did like that. I find out Harlan spot interesting. They're making him again, attempted murder of one coach, Brian Kendrick. So hopefully they'll continue to build on it. But, other than that, like Boa was okay. Even though it looked like he kicked Idris pretty hard when he did the spinning kick to knock him out.
He did.
He caught him so on the side of the head. And
he did.
I hope he's okay. There wasn't much with Zion Quinn. The commentary between Wade Barrett and Vic Joseph was a little clunky. Like it could have helped having a Beth Phoenix there to help level set as opposed to just going back and forth with them. So just because of that, just little things adding up, it brings it down to a 7. But they continue to do some good stuff with setting up potential storylines with so many other people. So I like that they continue doing that. Like they switched straight from the Andre Chase to Antonio D'Angelo to Pete Dunne. Like that continues to happen. We got to see Team Ninja with the Briggs and Jensen at a country concert apparently because that was necessary.
That was happening this past weekend. Yeah, one of those free concerts.
So, is that what they had the tickets for? That they were still
one of the free concerts. Yeah.
So it didn't do much for the show. Grizzled Young Veterans didn't do much for me. Last Legend and Jack of Time didn't do much. So those it knocked it down. But the action that we got to see was good.
90% of the show didn't do much for you. That's what you're telling me.
Because it was all those filler spots. Let's have more matches. Let's have more tag team matches. You can fit in more matches if you take out a 5-minute video package of Casey Catanzaro and Kaden Carter with Briggs and Jensen at a country concert where they're trying to, you could tell one of them has a crush on Kaden, but, they can't have it because that's going to probably be some drama at some point too. So I guess if they want to set another telenovela scenario, we got to hear. But, put in another match instead of some of these weaker promos and they would have gotten a better score.
Before we sign out for the night, I absolutely love this comment by Christopher Ryan Cooper, CRC. Von Wagner's forehead weirds me out. Dude, you're not the only one it weirds out, man. It weirds the hell out of me, dude. I'm looking at that thing and I'm not – wow. It's very – that forehead, bro.
Why are you talking about his 5 head, man? That's not very nice.
Bro, that's like an 8 head. That dude, bro, he's got those really pronounced eyebrows. Yeah,
it's a very defined forehead. Yes,
he reminds me of the Geico caveman. That's a horrible thing to say, right? But he kind of does. Like, hey, I'm just waiting for him to be in a tracksuit at an airport with his luggage.
Jose,
that is a dated reference for you young guns.
Jose, his promos are so easy, a caveman can do it.
And with that, guys, we're going to sign out for the night. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Debrief. Make sure you are liking, sharing, and subscribing, and smash that notification bell on our YouTube channel. Also, give us a follow on our Facebook and on Twitter. Give us a follow on our socials at Jose G Official, at Rico El Glorioso on Twitter and on Instagram. And also, you can find us and friend us on Facebook. So go ahead and do that as well. We'll be back next week for another installment of the Debrief. Until then, guys, as always, when you're watching wrestling, you have to do the most important thing, which is what, Rico?
Enjoy it. Enjoy wrestling.
Have a good night, guys.